All right, guys. So here's another type of attack that I'm going to show you. Again, it's very simple on the social engineering side, and it's had devastating effects in the last couple of years. I mean, the FBI's come out recently and said like billions of dollars have been lost from companies, organizations through this attack. Let me explain what's going on here. It's called a CEO fraud or BEC attack. BEC meaning business email compromise. And what the goal of this attack is, they are trying to initiate or get you to initiate a wire transfer internationally. That's what they're trying to do, right? So they'll social engineer you, create some kind of sense of urgency or something like that so that you're like, oh my God, I need to send this money ASAP. And you'll send it to a bank. It's usually in a foreign country. And then at that point, it's game over. You can't get that money back, right? A lot of the times. And also what they do is they will target people in organizations, the organizations where they're doing a lot of wire transfers, right? They're sending a lot of money and they're dealing with a lot of vendors. And in particular, people like in payroll, in finance and accounting, those people who cut checks and they pay vendors and so on. So they'll go after those. And what they do is, so let's say, you know, the examples I showed before, you click on an email or something like that, and this malware gets downloaded to your machine, okay? They will do reconnaissance on the network for a couple months. They'll watch your inbox for a couple months and they'll see like, let's say Sally in accounting, right? Or Sally in payroll. Who's she talking to? How does she talk to them? What do the invoices look like? What kind of letterheads do they have? They basically gather intelligence, okay? Or they'll send Sally an email with a link that takes her to a phishing page that will grab her username and password for her email, and they'll break in that way. And then then they'll see, you know, they'll watch how she talks to the CFO, right? The chief financial officer, or the CEO, the head of the company, and they'll basically profile how this company operates. And then when the time is right, they're gonna create an email, right? And they're gonna send it to Sally. Here's an example. I put this together. It's a very simple example, but this is basically what it looks like, right? It's gonna say from the CFO John, okay, at acmecore.com. This is all made up, obviously, right? But you get the idea. The email is gonna pretend to come from the CFO. And it's going to come to Sally and it's going to say, subject, urgent, oh my God. So again, there's that whole call to action. This is something important, you need to jump on it. I need you to initiate a wire transfer in the sum of $195,000 into the account below. But then this is where it gets interesting. I'm boarding a flight, so I can't talk, but this needs to be done ASAP. Can you please get this done? Send confirmation of the transaction immediately. Thanks. So let me explain what's going on here. So the bad guys will either send an email from CFO John's inbox. They will send it to Sally, right? And so she receives it and she's like, oh my God, what's going on? Okay, the CFO, he's jumping on a flight. I can't call him, but he needs this done ASAP. Okay, you know what? Here's the bank information. Let me just send this out. Game over. Or they will create a domain out on the internet that's like 1 or 2 letters off. So let's just pretend. Let's say it was FedEx.com. They may do, instead of the E in FedEx, they'll do a 3. So it'll be F3DEX.com. They'll create a domain and they'll send the email in. But Sally will look in, she doesn't realize that it's coming from outside. And she'll be like, oh wow, the CFO's sending it. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with the CFO. I'll get this done ASAP. Well, here's a little bit more of a sophisticated example. What they'll do is they'll create an initial email that's pretending to be from the CEO, okay? So over here, if you see it says CEO Susan, it's sending an email to CFO John, right? So the CEO is sending an email to the CFO saying, hey, John, we need to pay XYZ Corp today so we can take advantage of the deep discount. So please take care of this, you know, the outstanding invoice with AP. And then apparently, right, John is forwarding the CEO email to Sally. So Sally's looking at this email now and she's like, oh no, the CEO is telling the CFO to tell me I need to pay this ASAP. I'm not going to argue with anyone. I'm just going to do this right now, right? Because I want to be in everyone's good graces. Send. Very, very devastating attack. And it's so slick how these guys doing it, right? They profile the company. They do a lot of intelligence, reconnaissance, and the payoff is huge for these guys. Now, as far as the solution, right? Well, you're like, okay, great. Like, you scared me. What do I do? How can you solve this problem? Very simple. Just pick up the phone. It's so simple. Anytime you have big wire transfers like that, just pick up the phone. Hey, John, you know, I hate to bother you, but did you just send me this email? Like, I don't know, I don't feel 195,000. Are you sure? I want to just double check with you, right? Don't do it via email though. Don't confirm, because remember, they may have access to the email already. They're already in the network and it could be game over in that regard. But pick up the phone, out of ban, pick up the phone and say, hey John, please call me back. I need verification, like voice verification, or walk into John's office. Say, hey John, I just received an email, 195,000, is that you? That's definitely one of the, probably the most effective solution, right? And another one is, if you guys can, have some kind of a two-man integrity tool, like how they do with nuclear launchers, where there's two people that have to initiate something, right? It may be one thing to social engineer one person, but two people at the same time, much harder, okay? And you know, if you want to go even further steps, which is awesome, have a dedicated system, maybe a Linux system that it only goes to the bank. Maybe you can work with the bank to make sure that anytime they get any requests for big transfers, that they have to verify with you over the phone. Hey, did you guys initiate this, this wire transfer? Be very careful about this one with these emails coming in, especially when there's some kind of call to action and they're saying, I can't talk, this needs to be done ASAP. Oh my God, just pause. Remember what was it? Yeah, I remember that in the training. Pick up the phone. Double check, cool, walk into the office. Good stuff, guys, good stuff. So let's move on to the next section.